Someone is going to die in Wuthering Waves 3.3. Not maybe, not eventually. Everything Kuro has been setting up points to one thing. This story is about to force a trade. Because if you save Aemeath, someone else isn't making it out. So the real question isn't if something goes wrong, it's who dies. Aemeath is probably dead, and if Wuthering Waves 3.3 does what I think it's about to do, we're not saving her without losing someone else, because everything Kuro has been teasing to points to one thing. This is about to be the darkest story we've experienced in the game so far, and honestly, I don't think people are ready for that. Over the last couple of days, Kuro has been quietly dropping pre-release lore videos. The most players haven't seen them, but these videos actually tell us a lot about what's happening in 3.3, and it's not looking good. Let's start with the biggest threat, Voidmatter. One of the lore drops from Star Troopers Academy goes over the emergency protocols for Voidmatter leakage. That might sound like background info, but it's not, it's a warning. Because if you actually enter the Strider Gate and engage with Alpha 1, there's a very real chance to trigger a massive Voidmatter leak across the Roy, and that's where things get really scary. Voidmatter doesn't just damage the environment, it corrupts people, it distorts their frequency, and literally turns them into echoes. So if a large-scale leak happens, anyone fighting outside safe zones isn't just risking their life, it's risking losing themselves completely through frequency loss. And it gets worse. That same leak could strengthen the surrounding echoes, and if they absorb more void matter, they become more unstable, more aggressive, way harder to deal with. And now we're corrupting terrain, corrupting enemies, potentially corrupting allies. All that happening at the same time. So, what's the solution? That's where the second piece of lore comes in, the Dusk Veil. This is a protective barrier being managed by the Black Shores, and it's meant to temporarily isolate Alpha 1 from outside influence. Basically, it's our only way to contain the situation once things start going wrong. But let's be real, there's no way this thing's perfect. You don't introduce something like that into a story like this without it failing, or at least partially failing. And even a fraction of that void matter leak through, the consequences are going to be devastating. Then we get to the third setup, the Exo Strider. The thing has been dormant for a long time, and now we're preparing to activate it using the Mark II drive replica. The fact that it's a replica already tells you something is off. Either the original is gone, it's unusable, or something happened to it. Which means we're relying on something that might not even be stable, which probably it will be because Professor Morning is the one who's making it, but still, there's a probability it could fail, just because the sheer amount of energy it takes to power a machine that big, and the fact that we're facing a literal black hole. And yet, we're still going through with it, primarily to save her daughter Aemeath, but also to rescue and save the people of the Roy. So here's my theory. Rovers powers the Exo Strider and forces open the Strider Gate. But the moment we connect to Alpha 1, things spiral out of control. It makes sense because Alpha 1 isn't just any boss. It's basically a black hole. We're fighting a little Threnodian that is a black hole. And black holes don't just sit there. They pull everything in. So instead of a clean operation, we end up triggering a massive gravitational pull that threatens all of Lahoi Roy. And maybe it's Zolaris 3 itself, and that's where the Dusk Veil gets deployed to prevent total destruction. But while it might stop the pull, it won't stop everything else. Void matter is still leaking, the environment becomes unstable, echoes grow stronger, and the surface turns into a battlefield. At that point, most people are evacuating to safe zones, but not everyone. Characters like Hiyuki, Lucilla, Sigrika, Luke, Linnae, Denia, and Chisa are probably the ones to stay behind holding the line, and Denia's role is especially interesting, because if she really is connected to the Threnodian, which it looks like she is, based off the teasers and we know about her, she might be the key to controlling or stabilizing the situation, assuming she actually joins us. That brings us to the part that matters the most, the cost. Because Wuthering Waves doesn't do free wins, nothing in the story comes without consequences. If we manage to save Aemeath, I don't think it's going to be a clean victory. Someone's going to have to pay for it, and that most likely person is Hiyuki. Her entire character is built around this idea of sacrifice. She burns her own future to protect others. That's literally who she is. So, if the story pushes the idea to its limit, it makes sense that she would be the one that loses the most. Maybe she loses power, maybe she loses a part of herself, or maybe she doesn't make it out at all. Either way, I don't see a version of the story where everyone walks away okay. So yeah, we might save Aemeath, we might save her daughter, but the real question is, what's left of her when we do? Because she's been fighting a little black hole that's eating away at her all this time, and was it even worth it? Because if Kuro actually commits to this direction, 2.3 is just not going to be another basic update. It's going to be a change in tone for the story and the nature of stories down the line. And honestly, that's what Wuthering Waves needs right now. Let's be real. You think you know what's going to happen, but do you think we can actually save her? Or you think that this is where things finally go wrong and that Kuro finally changes the tone on us and finally makes the story as dark as we think it can actually be and tests our boundaries and patience? Thank you for watching, everybody. Let me know in the comments down below what you think.